6 months ago, I bought this JDM K24 A-swapped Honda Civic EK Coupe for $5,000. My goal being to finish the engine swap because the previous owner just barely got the engine in the engine bay, rip it around a little bit, and then sell it for a profit. Now we're gonna talk numbers in a future episode, but today I would like to take this Honda Civic out for its first drive. It's really close to being ready, but I do have a few issues that I have to fix from the end of last episode. The car is overheating because the fan isn't kicking on.
This customer said his car's running a little hot. I have no idea what it could be.
And I also don't think I bled the coolant very well. I also need to make an intake so I don't suck leaves into the intake system. And I just need to bleed the brakes and torque the wheels after that. Before we get started though, here's a fun little clip of me taking my best friend for a ride in my Turbo LS VTEC EG hatch over this past weekend.
Oh god, dude,
That was like half throttle.
really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god, dude. That was a good pull. That was way crazier than the first one.
Yeah, for
Holy
That was an absolute blast of a rip. My buddy later off camera said that that was the fastest car he's ever been in his entire life. And not only was that a blast, but it was also the motivation that I needed to finish this K-swap and get this car out on the road. Now, I've gotten pretty good at bleeding the coolant in my Turbo B Series car over the years, but K-swaps are notoriously hard to bleed the coolant. There are a lot of areas for air pockets to build up inside the cooling system, which can cause the coolant to flow improperly, if flow at all, which can and most likely will result in overheating. Some people have luck just like pulling and pinching the hoses once the car is up to temp to kind of like force the air out, you know, burp the system. I wasn't so lucky, so I fortunately was able to borrow a tool from an old Tesla coworker. When I was a technician at Tesla, we used to use this tool, a vacuum bleeder, to bleed the coolant on the Tesla's cooling systems. The idea is that it uses a vacuuming effect to suck all the air out of the cooling system in the engine. And then you have a hose attached to the tool that's sitting in a secondary bucket that's full of coolant. When you shut off the vacuum supply and you open the vacuum valve on the bleeder, it essentially siphons all the coolant, not all the coolant, but it essentially siphons the coolant from that bucket into your engine. Therefore, you're adding a liquid into the engine without the presence of air. So you effectively fill the cooling system without there ever being any air in the system in the first place. Maybe some, but very little. So your chances of getting it right on like the first or second try are pretty high. Oh, also, by the way, I reinstalled the exhaust in between these last two episodes, the one before and this one. So what you're hearing right now is actually how the exhaust is gonna sound when we're out ripping on the road. This is the full exhaust complete. So I think it sounds pretty good. You guys can obviously be the judge. You know what else sounds really good? Improving your mental health and having a clear headspace. I'd like to welcome today's video sponsor, which is BetterHelp. As you guys know, I am an avid gym goer. I take my physical health very seriously, lifting weights 3 to 4 times a week, eating as clean as I possibly can. I slip up sometimes. But having a strong exterior is only half the battle. In order to be your optimal self, you have to also have a strong mind. That's where BetterHelp Online Therapy can make all the difference. Whether you're up at night thinking about past regrets or just constantly down during the day, BetterHelp will be able to match you with a therapist specifically for your needs. BetterHelp is absolutely transforming the industry. I have a link down below for a 10% off your first month of online therapy with BetterHelp, and it's super easy to get started. You just click the link in the description down below, you fill out a questionnaire on their website, and they're going to use a bunch of information that they ask about yourself to pair you with a therapist that's perfect for you. One of the coolest things they offer, in my opinion, is faith-based therapy. So you can literally talk to your therapist about God. You can select a therapist based on your religion, and you can receive advice and have conversations with your therapist about the Bible or about whatever faith you are a part of. So I really like that. Another really cool part for people who hate confrontation or someone that just isn't jiving with the therapist that you've been assigned with is that you can simply change therapists with the click of a button at no extra cost. It absolutely saves you from the breaking up with your therapist thing if you're not super happy with who you've been paired with. Clicking the discount link in the description down below supports my channel and gets you 10% off your first month of online therapy with BetterHelp. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. And now let's get back to those revs with the brand new exhaust on the JDM K24 A-swapped EK Coupe. Thanks, guys. I vacuum filled the engine 2 or 3 times, and then I went ahead and just bled the engine normally using the coolant funnel, you know, the cool one that you get from the auto parts store with the plug. And I think with the combination of like vacuuming all the air out and then just doing a normal coolant bleed, that I think it's gonna work perfectly. But the only way that I'm gonna be able to know for sure is if I can fix the radiator fan and get that thing to start kicking on and see if the engine will hold temp at idle instead of continuing to climb. Just conducted the final coolant bleed on this baby, and guys, it is cooling perfectly. The fan is kicking on when it should. That was a really big pain to get to work. I did that all off camera because it was a lot of electrical diag. The fan was not working before, so I basically just bypassed the ECU completely, and I ran the fan directly to the relay. Some of you guys know exactly what that means. I would say most of you guys probably don't, and that's okay because I didn't, and I had to learn all of it in order to get this fan to work. Huge win though. We have just a couple of steps left before we can take this thing out for its maiden voyage. We got Tiff in here. He's been hanging out. He's been helping. Freaking key guy, hell yeah. The last couple things left to do before we can drive it are make an intake, bleed the brakes, put the wheels on, and then we can drive it. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see this thing move under its own power. Hand making an intake using a hacksaw is my official submission into challenging Gingium to a fab off. Caleb, if you're watching this, I'm coming for you. That is what I will do to you if you do not subscribe. I think this is pretty suboptimal for like a K-series intake setup, so we might end up redoing this to put the filter a little bit lower, a little bit closer to the ground, which is gonna give a little bit cooler air and a longer tube, because I think this tube is a little bit too short. I think you do want some length to your intake pipe. But we're just gonna test fit this, and we're gonna take it for a test drive, set up like this. Let's see how it fits. Fits. It actually fits pretty nice. Oh yeah. That's sick. That's really sick. First time this car is going on the ground since I put it on jack stands. It's been probably a week and a half of hard work getting this thing to this point. Header is on, exhaust is done, conversion hubs are in, axles and aft shaft are in. The ECU with K-Pro is in the car. Brakes are done. I replaced a rear stud off camera, wheel stud. We got the first start. Throttle cable is sorted. Coolant lines are sorted. Oil's in the engine, trans fluid's in the trans. I fixed the battery ground. We bled the clutch. We bled the brakes. Let's scratch that off the list. Here, check it out. We bled the brakes. Radiator fan figured out. Crank sensor, figured that out. Rad fan diag, figured that out. So guys, it's coming along really nicely. Just gonna throw the wheels on, torque down the lug nuts, and then we can finally take this thing out for its maiden voyage. First time moving under its own power. I only got 3 lug nuts for this one. Jesus. Because it was missing a stud. So like, there's no lug nut for that one. I'll be getting a brand new set of lug nuts for this thing because these chrome ones are super ugly. I'll get some like black ones. Those extended studs, those ARP extended studs on the conversion hubs, those are sick. Oh, dude, that's a problem. These are closed-ended lug nuts. Rain blast. Hold on a second here. Oh yeah, dude, the rainbow lug nuts go hard. Guys, just quickly observe this mess that I've created today. This is what it took to get this car ready for the road today. We still don't know how it's gonna perform. I might put it on the ground and pull it out of the garage and it might shut off, who knows. I'm really hoping it doesn't though. Wow, dude. Wow. That was so much work. I'm so excited to drive this thing right now. Okay, torque wheels, and then we hit the road.
John, how are you feeling right now?
Sometimes when you're just running a car inside of a garage, it kind of echoes and you can't really hear all the precise noises that the car is making. You know, the exhaust note, little like ticks inside the engine bay, squeaks, you know, anything weird, you might not be able to pick up on it because all the noises kind of blend together. But as soon as I started pulling the car out of the garage, I noticed a little bit of a weird noise coming from the engine bay that I hadn't noticed before. So I hopped out to take a look and see if anything seemed weird. I think we're good. All right, dude. You wanna go for a ride?
Let's go.
All right. Little did I know we would not be good. Well, we would be good, but the car would not be good. I don't have speedometer or tachometer, so we gotta figure that out. No power steering. That's normal though, it's supposed to be like that. Pulls to the right, kinda. Alignment is clearly way off. Who knows? Should we give her a little sauce?
Yeah, let's give her a little sauce.
It's like the tiniest amount of sauce.
I know.
Do the mirrors work? Oh, the mirrors work.
Oh, she rubs.
That's got to be on like the fender. Might have to raise it up a little bit.
John, first impressions though?
So far, so good, man. First time with the 2.4.
Oh, only squirrely.
Yeah, I pulled left really hard there. It like really is like pulling. Oh, you know why? I know exactly why. I don't have the right bracket on the steering rack. So it's gonna for sure pull. Like the steering is gonna be like way off right now. But we're going, dude. This car is literally driving under its own power right now for the first time ever with a K24 in it, with a K-series in it at all. Dude, she's torquey.
Pulls so hard to the left.
Well, dude, it was just going like this on me. It was just squiggling. Yeah, so I gotta figure out what the rub is. It hit VTEC. I heard VTEC hit. So we got VTEC. It feels like it's making decent torque. Obviously, there's a lot left on the table because it's untuned. But, dude, let's take her back to the garage and double check and make sure that nothing's leaking or broken so far. But, dude, so far, very happy. Dude, that's some good power. That's some good power, dude. I'm really excited to get this thing tuned and like actually see what it does. Either just slipped the clutch or spun the tires. One of the two just happened. I don't have any overheating check engine lights. I have nothing like weird coming on so far. You guys can probably hear that. Remember that noise from earlier that I was talking about? Well, it didn't go away, and it's starting to sound like a bit of a problem to me.
Do you hear that?
Could be throwout bearing. That would really suck, so I'd take the trans out. Throwout bearing, more like a throw out the trans bearing. Just kidding, but you guys will see what I'm talking about. It does get worse, unfortunately. Wouldn't be the end of the world, it would just be a pain in the butt. I asked my friend Tiffin to push in the clutch a couple of times while I took a listen. Tiffin, listen. Anyway, there's a noise present when the clutch is all the way out or all the way at the top, but when you push in the clutch, the noise goes away. You Honda experts are gonna know exactly where this is going, but past me did not.
Oh, yeah.
That sucks. So basically, to summarize what's going on here, if the clutch is all the way at the top, there is a noise present. When you push in the clutch, the noise goes away. If it was a throwout bearing, the noise would constantly be present because the throwout bearing is always spinning. It's spinning whether the clutch is out or pushed in. The fact that when the clutch is pushed in and the noise goes away tells me that there might more likely be an issue going on inside the trans, because when you push in the clutch, the transmission is essentially fully separated from the engine. It's no longer spinning, nothing inside of it is moving. So if when the engine and the trans are connected and the trans is spinning, you know, the main shaft, and there's a noise present, and then you disconnect them and the trans stops spinning and the noise goes away, that tells me the noise is probably inside the trans. Also, side note, the water pump pulley is wobbling and squealing. I don't have a clip of it, unfortunately, because I've already pulled the trans and I can't start the engine to show you guys. But now, on top of replacing some internal transmission bearings, I'm gonna probably also have to replace the water pump. So we've run into two major issues here on the first drive, unfortunately. That's kind of how these things go. I was expecting some kind of issue. Unfortunately, I was not expecting to have to pull the trans. That's gonna be the third one that I've done this year alone, which is a pain in the butt. But you guys are gonna have to wait till next episode to see that, where I'm gonna pull the transmission out, take it apart, fix what's broken inside of it, put it back together, and then replace the water pump and take this thing out for another rip. If you're interested in purchasing this car once it's done, you can go ahead and send me a text. This is actually my phone number, so please, serious inquiries only. This car will not be cheap because it is so clean. Stay tuned, subscribe with the bell turned on so you don't miss out on episode 4, where we're gonna be rebuilding this trans. I'm Boosted John. We deserve nothing, earn everything. Bye-bye.
I'm having so much fun, dude.
You love pulling trannies, bro. That's
I love
just
pulling
your
trannies.
favorite thing.